Welcome to Coffee with Citrin Cooperman. I'm your host, Mayor Mintz. Coffee with Citrin Cooperman is a video series in collaboration with Commercial Observer that features engaging interviews with esteemed real estate executives. The purpose of this series is to dive into the pressing matters affecting the industry and your respective businesses. Today I'm joined with Andrew Kimball, President and CEO of New York City Economic Development Corporation. Andrew, thank you for joining us.
Great to be with you, Meyer.
I know we're starting to get back to normal after COVID. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what the EDC is doing to try and help fill up the buildings in Manhattan and get people actually to come back to work?
Let me start by talking a little bit about how far we've come over the last 2 years since Mayor Adams took over. We still had 250,000 jobs to gain back of the million lost during COVID. New York was hit the hardest. We lost the most jobs. Here we are almost 2 years into the administration. The mayors both laid out a jobs blueprint in the first few months and also the new New York report, really a roadmap for the future of New York in a post-COVID environment. We've gained back all but 800 of the million jobs lost during COVID, and we expect in the coming days we're going to blow past that number. But we also know that the world has changed. It's not good enough just to come back to the economy we had before. We've got to build a more vibrant, inclusive, dynamic economy.
What about outside of Manhattan? Because I know Manhattan has gotten a lot of the interest and a lot of the press. What about outside of Manhattan, like Brooklyn, Bronx, and the other areas? What are you guys doing to help revitalize those?
So here's some other stats about why we're excited about where the economy is going. People are getting back on the subways, tourism is coming back, but there's an incredible dynamism among small businesses in New York. There always has been, but I think now more than ever post-COVID. So in the last 12 months, 1 in 7 of all the businesses in New York City have been created. They tend to be very small and startup. If you were to map those dots, you see the overwhelming number of those dots along the Brooklyn and Queens waterfront. That really speaks to 25 years of economic development strategies through multiple mayors, many of which the EDC has been involved in really creating an innovation coast that runs up and down the East River. You also see in farther out commercial and residential hubs. Think about Broadway Junction in Brooklyn. Think about Queens in Jamaica. Think about Morris Park in the Bronx, where you see much more foot traffic during the day and during the week than you did during COVID. Why? Obviously, because more people are working from home, and that's really driving some very positive commercial growth in those districts.
I know out of situations like this is when people strategize and people think forward to stuff that they really want to do and now that they have the opportunity to. What do you see happening in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, so the sectors we're really focused on, again, are life sciences and biotech. There's an extraordinary amount of investment happening. Just in the last 5 years, we're up 50% in terms of biotech startups in New York, 50% in terms of jobs created in biotech and life sciences. We have a $1 billion plan, which is a combination of capital grant awards, expense awards through grants, and tax incentives to really drive the biotech industry. Separate from that, and another great partnership between the mayor and the governor, we recently announced the SPARC project, which is the Science Park and Research Center in Kips Bay. This is focused on the old Hunter Nursing School campus, a 5-acre site at 25th and 1st Avenue, a set of buildings that have been falling down for 20 years. And the plan when we came in this administration was to take that building down and turn it into a sanitation garage. We thought we could do better. There already is an emerging biotech hub in Kips Bay through the Alexandria project and 455 First Avenue, which is also going through a land use process right now and will build 500,000 square feet of private biotech space. So on that 5 acres, we've put together a plan, again, governor, mayor, our economic development teams, where we're going to take 3 CUNY schools, a 2-year school, BMCC, a 4-year, a new nursing school, and a graduate school. Center for Public Health is going to move down from Harlem to that site. a city DOE high school focused on STEM education around healthcare and biotech, and 1 million square feet of private biotech, all on one 5-acre campus, all speaking to each other and interconnected. So creating pathways for those students into the jobs of the future in healthcare and biotech. We also think there's a tremendous opportunity to focus on tech-forward elements of biotech. So the integration of engineering, the integration of supercomputing, the integration of AI is really changing the way life sciences works and laboratories work. We think this site can be another place to showcase those sort of advancements.
What about green jobs? What are you guys doing in that area also?
Yeah, this is another enormous opportunity in terms of economic growth. Today, there's a $25 billion gross city product around green economy and innovation. A lot of that is driven by the need to upgrade our buildings to meet local law 97, to bring down those fossil fuel producing elements of our building infrastructure. It's also connected to things like offshore wind and solar and other types of green energy. Think the transition to electric cars, and that is really moving faster, I think, than anybody could have predicted. So this creates an enormous opportunity from an economic development point of view, and we're very, very focused on making sure that New Yorkers are ready for those kinds of jobs, but also that we become a hub for all of those startup businesses. And you look at places like Cornell Tech, again, to speak to another great university that is a commercial driver. They've spun off 100 tech companies so far out of Cornell Tech. Many of those, the majority of those, are now leaning in heavily into climate solutions. We need places for those companies to go and be accelerated and incubated. I was proud to run the Brooklyn Navy Yard for almost a decade, and the new lab there is a key part of that. But the Navy Yard's basically full. We need more spaces up and down the East River, the innovation coast, for those companies to go, and that's why we're going to be pivoting our Brooklyn Army Terminal site. One of the things people don't know about the EDC is we control 66 million square feet of space. About 20 million of that we actively manage. Our crown jewel is the Brooklyn Army Terminal. We have about 5 million square feet there. We have about 500,000 that's yet to be built out. We're going to focus that on creating a climate innovation hub so that those startups that are doing R&D, that want to pilot on our buildings, that want to make noise, so they're both hardware and software, will find a home. And that's a big part of our climate strategy.
That sounds very exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing the results. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.